So we go to school to learn, right? Learn so many different subjects and take so many exams. But then have you ever asked yourself that for all those years you have been in school learning, have you been taught how to learn? Before that, I want to ask all the headmasters and teachers in all the various schools, tell us why. Why haven't you taught us how to learn? So guys, in this video, we're going to talk about the best way and the scientifically approved way to learn so that you use little time to absorb stuff and you can actually write exams and see your results just go this way. Watch this video to the end and thank me later. Much ado guys, let's just jump right into the video. What's up guys, Sarfo Carbell once again and welcome back to the channel. If this is the very first time you are here, you are welcome. Please, before you do anything, just hit that subscribe button, join the family, because look, we're going to be learning together, learn and then grow together. All right, and then if you are coming back to the channel, welcome back, and let's continue learning and let's continue growing. All right, so today's video is going to be a very nice one, but there are various parts in the video, and then I have all the various parts in the description below, so you can, the timestamp in the description below, so you can go there and skip to the various parts if the part you're actually interested in, so that way you don't have to watch everything. You can watch what you want and then watch and get what you want. So it's going to be about, first of all, the strategy you are using to learn, or how you're actually learning, which is not that efficient. And then also going to look at active recall in a nutshell. And then after that, we're going to look at why active recall works. That means we're going to look at some facts and then some proof. And then also finally, how you can actually incorporate active recall into your studying life so that you can see the results manifest in your grades or your GPA, whatever, if you are in a university. Some of us also use a highlighter, where whenever we see any information that we think is very important or makes a lot of sense to us, then we use our highlighter to get that point noted. And then some of us also have the pen with us, then we underline what we think makes sense for us. And then some of us also take our slides, and then what we do is we read through the slides, and then this is what we do. Whilst you are reading, yeah, nodding our head to whatever makes sense to us. And then yeah, well, whilst all this that I've said, or these ways of learning, isn't a bad way of learning, it is not the most efficient way of learning, because the truth is, don't confuse recognizing information with recalling information. That is the thing. We read, we underline, we highlight, and we think that by recognizing that information that we've done, we can be able to recall it in an examination. And then when the test or the exams is put in front of you, and then you have your pen in your hands, you realize that, I read something like this, but only you just cannot recall exactly what you learned. And then we've all fallen victims to this style of learning. And that style of learning is what we call the passive learning, where we read, and then just by reading, we think we have that information in our head. So then let's look at active recall in a nutshell. This is how it goes. It goes as simple as ABC. It says that if you want to remember something, or if you maybe a fact or anything that you've been taught, instead of just taking your pen, reading through the slides, making notes, and then summarizing all the slides that you have, or underlining or highlighting or anything, don't do that. What you should do is just go through the information. After that, set it aside, close your eyes, and try to recall what you have learned. You can do that verbally or by writing. I mean that one. Just try to recall whatever you have learned without referring to your notes. If you were able to recall the information without referring to your notes, then congratulations, you have just used active recall. But if not, this is what you're going to do. You're going to look up what you couldn't recall, you learn it again, and then you come back again and try to recall the information without referring to it. And trust me, that is all. It looks so simple and it sounds so simple, but let me tell you the reason why active recall is so the approved way of learning, and the best way you should be learning, and the most effective way of learning. So the question you are probably asking yourself right now is there any evidence that this so-called thing works? Well, you are in luck. And one of the most cited articles and the resources that to support this claim, or support that active recall is the best way of learning, is the critical importance of retrieval for learning. published by Jeffrey D. Kapik in the Science magazine on the 5th of February 2008. I have all those articles linked in the description below, so you can head to that place and then have a look at the article, maybe read more like I am, if you are that interested in that. But then in that article, there was one thing that he said. He said learning is not complete except you are tested, and that makes sense because whatever you are learning, you learn to be tested on, right? And in that article, this is what happened, a summary of it. Some students were gathered and tested, were given 40 pairs of words, 40 pairs of vocabulary words from a foreign language, all right? And then once the students were able to get the words, this is what they did. They broke them down into 4 groups. So the first group continued to study the words and were also being tested on. The second group continued to study the words but were no longer tested on. The third group were no longer studying the words but they were being tested on. And the fourth group no longer studied, neither were they being tested on. And then after 1 week of studying the words, all the students came back together to write an exams, like to take a test on the words to see if they could recall all the words. And the results were actually funny. For all those who were being tested on with the test, they had the highest marks, and then they had similar marks, irrespective of whether they were studying it while being tested on or they were not studying it without being tested on. Once they were being tested on, all those who were tested regularly had the highest marks, and then those who just kept studying without being tested on happened to score the lower marks in the class. Like if I say lower, it was just really, really low compared to those who were scoring 90 and then other people scoring 30. So you realize that those who are actually using active recall, that was being regularly tested, were those who actually produced the high marks in the class. Then that's the article. I have a link in the description, so you should just check it out and just have a little understanding about it. So it was obvious that using regular tests or repeatedly testing yourself just allows you to shift the information from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, and then also allows you to retrieve that information from the long-term memory for every test. And then when that happens, your brain actually just builds that neural path to all those things, and then it makes it like very easy for you to recollect that thing whenever you need it, actually in a test or in an exam. Active recall is the way forward. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. So while those who are just studying without being tested, that's what we have been doing, just taking notes, summarizing, highlighting, and all those, they produce really low marks. Those who were actually being tested regularly or using active recall realize that for those people, their brains were being forced to try to recollect, process, and then just get the right answers to those things. When that happens, the brain gets to work, and when the brain gets to work, you know, like it is actually going to keep that information. Let's take this as an example. If you and I should go to the gym right now, and then I'm raising 80 kilograms, that's like far above my weight, and then you also go to the gym and then you are just raising 1 kilogram, who's going to see the result? Obviously me, the person raising that 80 kilograms. And that is how it sounds the same when it comes to learning. There's nothing easier than just going through your slides and then highlighting or just taking some notes. That is so easy. Your brain doesn't actually do anything. But by repeatedly testing yourself, that is where your brain actually goes to work, trying to process and do all those things. And that is where the results are actually seen. Your brain tends to see that this is meaningful information, and your brain actually saves that thing. Like, it's a whole lot of things. So if you're actually here, let's look at how we can actually apply active recall in our studies so that we can see the results. And then if you have watched this particular video and you're liking anything so far, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button to give me motivation. Alright, so if you are contemplating about how you can actually apply active recall in your studies, this is the way to go. Alright, the first step is that you have to do what we call review, or the passive learning, like we all do. That's the first step, that's review. And then the thing is that when you're doing the review, you don't just do the review. You have maybe something that you used to, okay, that's your diary or whatever you used while learning. And then what you're going to do is that you're going to be setting a lot of questions for you. You're going to set questions from the beginning of the slides to the end of the slides, paying rapt attention to the course outline or whatever you're supposed to, like, at least they want you to know at the end of the course, right? You get that thing. So that's the first thing you're going to do. I have my screen here, as you can see my screen by the side here. These are some of the questions that I set while I was tackling this. So currently, just before I showed this video, the lecture we had was managerial economics. The lecturer came to do some online stuff, and then later the slides were given to us. When I was going through the slide, this is what I was doing. As I was learning the slides, I was doing this as well. I was writing questions on everything. So for instance, when I went to the slide, they were defining demand, saying a lot of stuff about demand. I read it and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but then that wasn't it. I wrote a question, what is demand? And this question here should help me retrieve that whole definition about demand. Alright, so this is what I did. What is demand? I wrote what is demand? That's my first question. As you can see, state the requirement for effective demand. What is a market? What is a market demand function? And everything. I have lots of questions here just from that particular slide that I was reading. So by answering all these questions, I have all that slides in my head. And then by answering them, not only will it give me the way of being able to tackle them in exams, it will also help me to put all these things in my brain and then be able to retrieve them whilst I'm learning. So right now, and then that is not it. So first of all, once you are going through your slides, you are reviewing it, then you also write all these questions alongside. You don't review before you write the questions. You write the questions whilst you are reviewing your information. Alright. Then the next thing is that's the most difficult part. That is where you now sit down to test your brain. You sit down to test your brain and to put your brain to work. And this is how you do it. Now you start answering the questions without referring to anything. And please don't do this. Don't say what is demand, and then you sit there and say in your brain that you know the answer. No, there's a difference between recognizing information and recalling information. So you try to speak it out if possible, or try to write it down if that one also works. Whichever way works for you, I think you should try it. So now that's why. So please do not refer. Try and put your brain to work and try your possible best to bring the information from your mind. So I go through it one by one, answering each question, trying my best to record the answers to each question, and I just keep going. And if there is any question that after trying several times I couldn't record it, what I do is that I put a little asterisk by that question so that next time I know that that particular question had a problem. And what I do is that after going through all my questions, I go and tackle and find the solutions to those questions that I wasn't able to get straight answers to first. And when I go there, I look it up, then I learn it, and then come back again and come and repeat the same active recall and try to recollect it again. So I go through my whole questions, the ones that I couldn't tackle, the asterisk, go and find the solutions to them in my slides again, and then after that I put my slides again away and then go try to recall all the questions. Once I'm done for that day, then that is it. But that doesn't mean just by doing it one day you are good to go. Active recall does not work on the fact that being able to record it one day means that is all. That is where it comes to what we call spaced repetition. So the best way to get active recall to work for you is just trying to recall everything after learning that particular day, just after learning, and then you can try the next 3 days, the next week, like that. It should be there. But that's a topic for another video, which we'll probably be doing on this channel again. So please consider subscribing so that you don't miss on that video when it does come out. So guys, I've said a lot and I've mentioned a lot. Some of you might take this and practice it. Others too might just say this is rubbish and then continue. But then I want you to just try yourself. Put yourself to that test. Apply active recall to your learning for this semester or this term or whatever you are using, and just see what happens. Does your grade get better, or you didn't realize anything? I can promise you that if you should apply it just like I've said and apply it well and add spaced repetition, which we'll talk about in another video, you will see the best result that you like. That will be your best semester, and then your GPA will thank you, and I will thank you as well. If you ever got any value out of this video, please do want to smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, join the family, let's learn, let's grow together. And then guys, without much I do, I'm just going to catch you in the very next video. Peace.